So basically, in the New Year's, well, I enjoyed my temporary vacation going to SMX convention. I really wanted to get some of my tech in my room pretty much upgraded and straight up just to fix them because in the end of 2022, some of my most valuable equipment just stopped working, which would be my cassette deck, which in this very pile of mess that I have, this deck just died for some reason. Some of the parts inside of it lost connection, most likely due to its old age. So it really needed to resolder most of the problematic parts in the circuit, and also kind of relubricated most of the stuff on the cassette deck. But for now, it still works perfectly fine. The amplifier, I still haven't fixed some of the solder joints that I messed up when I disassembled this whole thing. At some point, I'm gonna fix that. But today, what we have, which I bought some Maxell capsule tapes, alongside which I ordered is this TV, and this damn thing is amazing. So basically, it's a Japan surplus television from the early 2000s. Most likely 2000s or the 90s, but I'm gonna call it the 90s since it has the same look as the thing that I ordered the most, which is this thing, a Sony boombox. So basically, everything works. The avian works, the cassette works. Well, that's the beginning of the tape. So if we fast forward that, it's gonna show a picture. It's just taking a bit of a long time. There. It basically works. I recorded some HoloLive stuff on this thing. I just haven't got the time to rewatch it. And as I got Type 2 tapes and probably a new monitor, this also broke. This thing is the Sony. I forgot what it's called. It's the ZS D5, I think. The ZS D5 boombox. That's from 1998. It has a auto reverse full logic cassette deck, and if you can see, head flips both directions. It has a built-in clock, which I use as an alarm clock, and the CD, which when I got it wasn't working. I also fixed that. Later, I'm gonna show here the thumbnails on, or the pictures on how I disassembled this thing and cleaned it, because I didn't really record it since it's my personal stuff. Sometimes I don't record my personal stuff anymore and upload on YouTube. It also has an optical out, line in, line out, and this button for the MD link, which if you press that with a MD plug, then it should auto sync with the MD. But I don't know if it's gonna sync even the track titles or the track text over to from the CD to your mini disc. But this thing was compatible with mini discs at the time, 90s even. I don't know if it's compatible with the early mega disc mini discs, but I think the later 90s models. But the earlier ones, I think it's not that compatible, because I haven't seen the compatibility sheet of this, because stuff gets outdated and stuff. You can't really find the manuals of these online. So we have here is the headphone jack, mega bass, some controls. This one is for the alarm, the sound setting. I forgot what this one is. I think it's the sleep, the set for the time to show up even when something's playing. These three are for the CD options. This one's, I think, for the repeat, shuffle, play, etc. This one's for the program mode, so that you can play the first half of the disc and then just stop there. And this one, I forgot what this one is. This one's the volume. We have here are for the track to look at the remaining time and the whole time when the disc is gonna finish playing. This one is for, it's for the CD, but I forgot what this thing is for. This one is for this track skip for the CD. This one acts as a track skip, AMS search for the cassette deck, and also the fast forward and rewind. To activate the AMS feature of this thing, you need to press the play button, and then you're gonna go ahead and fast forward it. So it's gonna fast forward to the next track, and then it's gonna play that. We have the infrared sensor, because this thing had a remote control back then. This was pretty much far from high-end back in the day, but it had a full-range speaker. Most Sony models at this time used one of these to cut costs, but some high-end models of Sony basically use a separate driver for the woofer and for the tweeter, which is actually amazing for that time. So we have the CD operation here. We've got the radio, we've got the presets, which the presets are gonna be kept when the battery is on. This thing eats up 4 AA batteries for the clock setting only, and additional 8 diesel batteries to power it on, so that you can bring this to a party or somewhere, since this is a full portable stereo at the time. So the other reverse tape deck loads the tapes like a cassette deck. It loads it like this. The tiny window here, you can't really see the tape inside unless you like look under here. This thing just tells you which position on the tape you're in. Not really useful since it's very small. Unlike what I have here on my cassette deck, it's big enough so that you can see the remaining and where the take-up spool is, so that you know where the minutes and hours and seconds on the tape. Nothing really useful on the back of this machine. If we look on the back, we can basically see that the antenna still isn't bent, and it's still got a bit of a play on it. Although this side is kind of wonky a bit because I disassembled this thing. So the constitution, or let's say the holder of this thing, is kind of a bit of a loose now, since I took everything apart on this thing just to fix the CD player and the cassette deck, and I put it all back accordingly. So on here we have the big Sony logo, their trademark. They also have the trademark little nubbin, the white one on this thing. And this thing is surprisingly not bent or even broken off on each side, which is amazing. The power cord of this thing, it's the power cord that I got on it isn't the original power cord, as you can see. The thing that goes into the device doesn't match to the hole, but it works regardless, so I'm not gonna touch that. I bought a auxiliary cable just for there. So as you can see, it uses 8 size D R20 batteries on it just to get this thing to work. No, 5 batteries. I really thought it was 8. Just 5 batteries, but still. As you can see, we have here our 4 AA rechargeable batteries just to keep the time, since I really want this thing to be an alarm clock, but I don't have the time to like use it as an alarm clock at some point. So I have my own dedicated alarm clock under my monitor. This thing was a pain in the ass because these screws here, I cannot disassemble them. They needed a very, very specialized long screwdriver, which I ordered the other day. There are also additional screws on the top, which was frustrating to get. And oh boy, did I remembered my old boombox that had this similar design that they needed to take the top screws off so that they can get the whole thing screwed over. So basically this thing was an amazing device for its time. And if we power it on, we've got a surprise. Okay, so this monstrosity has automated controls for the cassette deck. So if we put a tape in here and power it on, as you can see, it has a backlit display. The volume indicator is kind of fucked up, but it still works. Here's how the AMS works. It's gonna go ahead and skip to the next track. Once it finds it, I'm just gonna wait until this thing finds it. Oh, there it is. So here's for to clear the counter. Oh, here's to go around. This one's for the auto reverse function. Here's the auto reverse side. Here's the forward play. Here's the radio. And here's CD. Everything perfectly works as I fixed it. It automatically reads and plays the disc. There once was a time. This one is for this is the whole CD on how it's gonna end. This is the just the normal timer for display for the disc. This one is the backwards counting one, and this one is for the whole disc when it's gonna end. The CD, you can put any disc on here and it works perfectly fine, since I fixed the pickup lens problem. So surely nothing will break after this device has been fixed. Hell no. This thing, this small outside-glassing speaker that I got from the US, broke on me the day that I fixed the Sony boombox. And well, it wasn't a fair play. So disassembling this thing required me to snap it in half. No joke. I snapped this thing in half just to get it to work. With a similar experience like this, you slowly open it up like that. So basically it has insulation. As you can see, that's the basic insulation part of it. This is the insulation. This is for the volume knob. Here's the tiny speaker that it has. And I also resoldered this part because that became loose the second time I disassembled it. Basically, this is a very, not really cheap. This one I think retail for like $300 or something at some point. But yeah, this is a very nice speaker for its size, and I like the outside glancing brand on it. That's why I still got it. It works perfectly fine as a speaker. As you can see. Let's power it on. We can pull up music on it by selecting this thing. Okay, so as you can see, it's playing music. And it's playing music. So yeah, this thing was a pain in the ass. I had to resolder the the power line of it and some other parts such as a speaker, since I needed to get this thing working. And there, as I fixed it, I put it back together again by forcing the front bit on it, and it's working just fine now. So yeah, basically this is the compilation of stuff that I fixed. I'm not gonna talk about disassembling this thing. I'm just gonna show you how I disassembled it, and I'm gonna voice over it and my pain in fixing this Denon deck and recalibrating all of its crappy circuitry that I kinda messed up when I disassembled it. So yeah, we're gonna see. We're gonna go to the editing part, and I'm gonna edit the video whilst talking over it. So basically, what happened to the Denon DRM 500 cassette deck? One day I cleaned the head of it, and for some reason, it hit some wires inside of it, which forcefully desoldered the right channels, or the left channel. I actually forgot which one was that got bad. I think the left channel was desoldered, so the right channel was just working, and the left channel, you can't really hear anything from it. Just some background noise from the circuitry. So basically, I just thought that I broke the circuitry or the head of it. But no, it just desoldered some wires inside of the head, and I resoldered it throughout the day. It was a pain disassembling it because some of the screws also was tight, so I cannot unscrew it, and the screw just went and destroyed itself by not getting the cross on the head of it. It's a what you call this? A positive screwdriver type of screw. So basically, it broke while I was disassembling it. So I tried a number of ways of taking it off and kind of destroying the front plate of it, and I did destroy some of the inside parts of it while disassembling it, but I flattened it out just using a hammer, and it just got deformed. It's just a metal plate that's holding the mechanism. It didn't really break the mechanism itself. Luckily, this deck was very easy to disassemble, so it was easy to take it off and put it back in. One of the things that wasn't easy was resoldering everything on the circuit board once I took it out. I also changed the plug since it wasn't the original plug that Denon had provided. So I found some Japanese plug connectors here that I had laying around from a number of boomboxes that I had back in the day. Snipped off the cord on the end of it since it was like a adapter cord, so I can plug it into the boombox. Snipped that, soldered it to the terminals and the power, and I also got that working. So basically, it's a customized but looking like Japanese style of a deck now, since this was actually made in Japan in 1989, and it's a 2-motor dual power supply type of setup of a cassette deck. One thing that was a catch on this one, why it sounds good, because it has Dolby HX Pro, which is one of the most best let's say noise floor tinkering mechanism that boosts the bias up and lessens it in the span of how loud and how quiet that the audio of your recording into the tape is. So it's just basically a not really a noise reduction system, more of a biasing system for the tape that's built into it, which actively works in the recording, which is a very great feature of this deck. That's why I still love it, even though I lost another tape deck, which was the Akai.
That